Hi everyone, welcome to today's video where it's going to be real air comfy. But we're in new house, new bathroom, new things. We're going to do a little bit of story time while washing, cleaning, fixing this mess. Because she's feeling real gross at the moment. So we're going to do a story time on how I almost died. Kind of, sort of. It's a long story. First I'm going to find a headband because it's a lot easier with this mop. Do I have a headband? Where is it? That was the question. Alright, I have my headband. Alright, there we go. Much better. Alright. Story time. So, when I was 18, I decided to go on birth control because, starting to have some fun times with some people and better to be safe than sorry. So I got a birth control, and I'm notoriously bad at remembering to take things that I deem unnecessary, or my body deems unnecessary. So my body had deemed tablets to be unnecessary. Shocking, I know. So what I had decided to do was, instead of doing a tablet or an IUD or birth control, I did an Implanon, or like a little bar, which normally goes in your arm, near the back of your arm, or your non-dominant arm is normally how it works. So I went to my local family doctor, who I've been trusting since I was little and knew quite well. And my mother had been using since she was little, and she'd be going to the same clinic since she was little. But pretty much her same doctor, basically the family doctor. And I was like, yeah, I trust her. And I was like, look, this is what I want to do. Let's do it. And she was like, yep, easy. It's a real simple thing. Doesn't hurt. We pop it in. It's technically classified as a procedure because we're cutting you open. It'll take 45 minutes and we'll call it a day. So I'm like, alright, gangster. So I chuck it in my body and no issues, right? I'm loving it. It's great. It's actually stopping me from having periods, which was more shocking to me, because I had been getting periods since I was 13. And they were horrendous. Not like horrendous, like endo horrendous, but just like, pretty bad. So it was nice to go from this hurts a lot to, oh, I don't have anything now. Honestly, it was a little scary at first because I thought, maybe that was pregante, but, turns out obviously I was not. Which thank the Lord, because if I had a kid with that person, I would have been mentally lost. But yeah, anyway, so I'm having it, and then all of a sudden, around the same time, I started getting these really chronically bad pains. I'd always had some sort of pains in my life, whether it was I'd always had a lot of ankle pains and ankle issues and mobility issues in my ankles. So I just thought, great, my body's choosing a different thing to hate me on. So I was like, okay, I can deal with this, whatever. At first I thought maybe I'd just done something wrong to my neck. Fast forward, what is it, 18, 19, 25, 26, like 7 years. I got it taken out again, but they put it in the same spot because implants you have to remove every 3 years. So I was on my second one, and I think it's 3 years or 2 years. It must be 2 years. I do not remember if it's 2 or 3. I think it's 3. Yeah. Anyway, every 3 years I was getting it removed, so I was on my third one, or because I think it's technically every 3 years, but I would remove it at the 2.5 mark, So anyway, I'm on my second one. It's getting painful. And I don't mean like ticky painful. I mean like inability to move painful. I am, unable to move the right side of my entire body. My hand is sinking. I'm struggling. Like, everything's fine. I'm working. I'm, at university. I'm doing all these things. And then something will just hit my body and I'm dying. Like, genuinely, it feels like death. I'm crying. I'm pleading for pain to stop. I am getting to the point where my vision is lost and it's only half my body and I thought I was having a stroke. And I was panicking because I'm like, I can't, I'm in the middle of driving and all of a sudden I can't see out one side of my body. That's not a fun thing to go through. So I'm telling my parents about this, even though I hadn't moved out of home, because, they're my parents. I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do I do? We go to every specialist you can think, right? We go to the neurologist to just check if it's my neurons, because it felt like my neurons were on fire. It wasn't my neurons. My neurologist just basically said to me, you're too young to be in here, so therefore you just want to be special. I wish that was just the case. But no, it's not that I just want to be special. It just feels like my neurons are on fire, so I thought maybe, something had happened, or, maybe because I've had all these extensive years of neck pain, ankle pains, I thought maybe I had severed a nerve or damaged it really badly. They think it's nothing. I've gotten x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, you've named it, I've gotten it done. Blood tests, I've checked all of my vitamins and minerals to exist. The only one they said I was kind of low in was magnesium, but it wasn't even enough for it to be properly low. It was low. Like if all of them were perfect, my magnesium was just under. So they were like, for the experiment, take a shit ton of, magnesium tablets and call it a day. Because they were like, yep, this will solve it. I'm like, great. I'm taking magnesium tablets. I'm adding more magnesium to my diet. I'm, looking up it and it's dark chocolates, it's leafy greens. And I'm like, great. I already eat a lot of leafy greens. I love my spinach. So I'm eating a lot of more spinach. I'm putting it into every dish I physically make. I'm cut out all milk chocolate and only have dark chocolate. I'm full, I'm still taking high levels of magnesium, and on top of that, I'm having magnesium drinks to help. I checked my vitamins level again, nothing changed. It went up, I think, the tiniest amount. So I was like, cool, this is useless. And when I stopped taking it, it stayed the same. So I'm like, great, it has nothing to do with magnesium. So the blood results was useless. There's no past medical history. There's no one else that has anything similar, right? So I'm ruling all these options out. And the only thing I can think of left is, well, maybe something's wrong with my blood. Maybe there's some weird infection that's taking over my blood system and is slowly killing me. The things you think about at 22. Because who doesn't, right? And I am praying it's something. Nothing. I get no answers, no results. I get told I'm crazy, and you just deal with it. It was horrendous. I got told it might have been my mental health. So I went to see a psychologist, and they were like, nah, nothing to do with that, your mental health. There's about 400 other things we can do with your mental health. That ain't one thing. I'm like, cool. So I still see a psychologist anyway in case. I borderline was going to go see a psychiatrist, but I decided against that, so, we win and we lose. That will be a story for another time. So I don't see a psychiatrist. I'm, going to therapy once a month. once every 2 months, and my pains are the same. There are some nights it gets a lot worse. There is not a whole lot that can help. So the only things that have been helping were heat packs were my saving grace. Like literally heat localized here in my neck region was the only thing that would save me, and a little bit of my jaw. So like I'd have a heat pack here, one here, and like I had a long one, so I would go across and around. And I would be taking what we call Acidofen, which is just a name brand. But it's essentially just a really strong dosage of paracetamol ibuprofen, which is a little bit of blood thinner and some pain meds. And so I was like, oh, maybe the blood thinner part's working. So I will take some blood thinner medication. And my dad had some for a while, he had some spare. So I said, I'm going to take some at your place tonight. Can you watch me in case something happens? I want to be super careful. I don't want to take people's medication because that's a very bad thing to do. And he was like, yeah, we'll keep an eye on you for 24 hours in case. But I only took half of one to see, and that did nothing. It did the tiniest amount of help, but I would have rather just taken a paracetamol ibuprofen mix. So that's all I had to save me from these horrendous, like one of them was so bad. I was with a person and it got to the point where I was like perfectly fine, laughing, swimming in the pool, super fun, and I feel a little sick. Like a little, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's just because I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, it's been a long day, I'm just gonna sit down for a minute. All of a sudden, I start like dry heaving, shaking, can barely walk, trying to get inside. Like I had to get someone to walk, like help me up the stairs. It was so bad. Like I'm shaking, crying. It's horrendous. And this is not the first time. Like I've had to be carried to bed. I have collapsed on the floor and couldn't get up, and my now loving partner has rushed from a different place to come pick me up from the floor and help me into bed. It's bad. And again, no one is taking me seriously. Everyone thinks I'm making it up. And it's the most depressing feeling when you want to go out and do all these things, but you can't. And your friends think that you're making it up because, they're like, oh, we don't believe you necessarily. They do and they don't. They, some do, some don't, so it's hard. And then, because most days you look great and you feel great, and then it hits randomly. And so you're like, well, what is this? I wish I knew. I didn't know until I saw my new doctor when I moved to a completely different state, completely different everything. And, well, not new state, but like a new city, new everything, right? With my loving partner. And I go to the doctor and I explain, because she's like, we're new, let's talk about this, blah, blah, blah. I explain everything that's happening to me, and she goes, well, that's not good. Have you tried, let's have a look at your birth control. And I was like, oh, why am I birth control? She's like, well, you got it around the same time as when you got your birth control. And I'm sitting here like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. It was just something I had never connected together, because why would I? And so I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, let me have a look at it. And so she just has like a look on the outside and immediately goes, not only is that scar horrendous, they put it in the wrong spot. And I'm like, what do you mean it's in the wrong spot? I don't know any better because, I don't know how these things work. So how am I supposed to know it's in the wrong spot? So it turns out what had happened is that not only did they put it in the wrong spot, they had put it, so you're supposed to put it in flat. They had put it in instead of like this in your arm, right? They're supposed to put it in like that. they had put it in like this, which was hitting my nerve sometimes, but it was predominantly stuck in my muscles and hitting my blood vessels. And I'm like, oh shit. And she's like, well, you need to get that removed. Like, we're getting it removed right now. This is going to become like almost a medical emergency. And I'm sitting here like, oh my god. Okay, panic. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do this. I give consent, whatever you need to do, just do it. So I get put on, like, I can walk, so I get put on a little gurney, and they're working on it. Normally, for the people who don't know, getting this removed is 5 to 10 minutes, give or take. This took them an hour and 45 minutes because they couldn't get it out. It was way too deep. They had to get 3 people at the same time to get out a bar that is probably as long as this without the tips. Alright? And a touch thicker. Should be easy to grab. All you have to do is grab, like, cut it here in the same spot, grab some pliers and just go yank. I wasn't squirming, I wasn't moving, I was chill. An hour and 45. Insane. And so it was getting to the point where if it hit the 2-hour mark, it was going to be full surgery, like full everything. And I'm like, no, it just needs to get out now. So they managed to eventually get it out. And I'm so happy. They're like, we're going to give your arm a break. We're going to put it in your other arm. Let's see how you go. I'm left with a pretty shitty scar. I don't know if you can see it. Like there. Wow. And it actually, like, it's kind of hard to tell, but it pokes out a little bit. It's a weird mound. Anyway, so I've got it on my arm, I have it in here, you can't even like see it. It's where it's supposed to be. I've had no pain since. I only get the tiniest amount of pains now, and that's only when I'm really overwhelmed and incredibly stressed out. And on top of that, I also found out that I have something called, I think it's TMJ, where it's basically the muscles in my jaw right here are like incredibly tight to the point where it causes a lot of pain. So that's added to it. And after a couple of weeks to a couple of months, I tell my doctor, like, thank you so much for removing the birth control. It was the reason why I was in a lot of pain. Do you know why it was doing, like, or what was causing it? And she explains, like, the angle, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. She goes, yeah. So what it was doing is it was causing miniature blood clots. Miniature blood clots. So for 7 years straight, I think. Yeah, for like 7 years straight, I was having just random blood clot attacks. Yippee! Because that's what all 18 to 25-year-olds want to be having. And that was the most terrifying thing to hear, was I was having blood clots. And apparently what I was doing was just, like, the heat on and having the medication was just enough, and I mean just enough, to get them to go through. If I didn't do that and leave it for too long, I could have died. That's an insane concept. The fact that I was on death's door a couple of times. Like, I got really close to needing a paramedic because I felt like I was dying and I wasn't being over the top is insane. The fact that there were days where I could not move, I'm screaming and crying, wasn't because I was insane, it's because I genuinely was suffering from mini blood clots, and at the same time the muscles in my jaw were shot. So it has been, it's been a year, almost a year, since I've had it removed from this arm, and it's gone to the other one, and honestly, I have not had any big pains at all. I've honestly never felt better. Obviously, I still recommend you go on birth control for the people who want/need it. I would just suggest, if your body is rejecting something or hurting in a way where to you it does not make sense, find someone who cares. Go to 400 doctors, because the 401st doctor will listen. Unfortunately, in women, we are used to this. Women tend to not get looked at, valued, or appreciated when it comes to medical stuff. Get the tests done. Look after yourself. Do whatever you need to do, because I could have died so many times, and it's insane to think that that was a possibility. So, thank you all so much for watching and listening to that very weird, story time. My facial is complete. I don't do too many steps. I keep it real simple. I don't do it correctly. I just do it in the way that works for me. So, sorry to all the skin people who are freaking out because I did everything wrong. I don't do this very often, as you can tell. Let me live my life. But I hope this helps some people. I love you all very much. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.